for dinner. I promise. Okay, that's a big deal. Hey, I appreciate you guys letting me come, and I'm going to be with you this summer. I promise that I'm going to do my very best to give you as many strategies as possible, and make sure that we get you in the present moment. Okay, that's all I care about. So I'll be honest with you. Last year, when we started talking about the mental game, the group we had last year, the buy-in was not there. It really wasn't. It was not there, and so I'm going to do things a little bit different this year than I did last year. So last year I kind of dove in and we talked about, hey, here's some of the stuff I teach. This year, and I don't ever do this, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my path and a little bit more about me. And it's not because I like to talk about me, because some of you guys know me, and that's the last thing I like to do. But I want to talk to you about the fact that I was in your shoes and what it took for me to get there and why I chose to get in the mental game. Okay, so I grew up just down the road down here. I went to Highland High School. And I had the same aspirations as you guys. I wanted to play in the big leagues. And I'll be honest with you, just like you guys are sitting here right now, like, I was the best player on the team, just like you guys were, right? And I had not met resistance in high school baseball. Like, I honestly would get in the box and be like, okay, this time I'm going to hit a double in the right center field gap, right? Can you guys relate to that? And then it was like, okay, well, I guess let's go out and pitch just for fun. I wasn't a pitcher. I played short. And I go out there and pitch, and it was like, okay, how many punchies do you want, right? That's what it was like. I had a chance to go play college baseball at Wichita State University. We were ranked #1 in the country. I was a freshman All-American. Again, I don't like talking about myself, but I need to do it because I got to get some buy-in from you guys. Freshman All-American, played in Omaha. Hit a bomb in the first game in Omaha. Okay, down 9-7, going in the 9th inning, led the inning off with the homer. Okay, we had a blast out there in Omaha. I got beat, but I had a blast. A couple times All-American, and I hate doing this. Okay, junior year, 424 with 17 bombs, 96 RBIs, 22 stolen bases. Okay? I hadn't met resistance. Got drafted in the 2nd round, $500,000. First year of professional baseball, hit 300. I was like, man, wood bat, let's go do it. And in my 2nd year, I learned what baseball was all about. That resistance thing I'm talking about, it happened. Halfway through the season, I'm hitting 230, and I'm like, man, this is not good. I struggled. I had a tough time, and I had to learn that there was more to it than just doing it. And I struggled and I struggled. I bounced back. I learned some strategies, but I had to fight. I had to struggle. I had to get through it, and I had to figure things out on my own. Next year, I went AA, AAA, and hung in there. And I kept hanging in there, and I had some intangibles that kind of got me through, but, man, I struggled up top. I did make it to the major leagues. I made it to the major leagues with the Indians and with the Angels. 2 different teams. But when I got to the top, I never felt like I deserved to be there. I never felt like I belonged. And I don't want any of you guys that are sitting in this room that are going to get that chance to play in the major leagues to feel like you don't deserve to be there. And so when I was done playing the game, I went home, got in a completely different industry, different field, and I decided to go back into the game. I said, I know exactly what it is I want to do. I want to go train athletes in the mental game. Because you guys have lots of good coaches. We just talked about it. You have unbelievable hitting coaches, pitching coaches that can get you there. But there was nobody that helped me in the mental game the way I needed to get helped. Because there was nobody that had played the game that was coaching the mental game. There was nobody that had been 1 for 30 or 0 for 30. I'd done that. It sucks, right? Now, many of you haven't experienced that yet because the game hasn't been very hard yet, but it's coming. It might not happen this summer, and it might not happen through college because I never went through the struggle even in college, but it's coming. So I've been very fortunate. Right after I got my master's degree in sports psychology, I got hired by professional teams because I think there's only one other guy that has a master's and played in the major leagues. And I got hired by the Rangers. I spent 1 year with the Rangers, and we really didn't see eye to eye with the mental performance coach because he kind of wanted to go old school and just sit you down and talk about how your feelings are. Like, how are you feeling? My approach to the mental game is this. It doesn't really matter how you feel. There's a game at 7:05. Let's go get it done. What are strategies that can get me out there and get me through the game? It's not about how you feel. It's what are we going to do about it? So the next year I went to the Atlanta Braves. I spent 4 years with the Braves. We won the World Series, and I forgot to bring my ring to show you guys. We'll get that sometime this summer. We really helped some players, and I'll show you a couple of those. And then I left the Braves to be an independent consultant because many of my players got traded and still wanted to work with me. A couple days later, I got hired by the Cincinnati Reds as an independent, so I have a chance to be hanging out every single day with Ellie De La Cruz, Hunter Green. And I'll be honest with you, these guys are hungry to learn about the mental game. So last year when we spent some time with all the Marshals teams last year, and there's about 3 or 4 of you guys that are interested in the mental game, I'm disappointed. Because when I'm hanging out with the Cincinnati Reds, every single one of those guys, every single day, are sitting down next to me and saying, what do you got for me today? The major league players I work with are way more interested than any college player I work with. They're way more interested than any high school player I work with. Doesn't that seem messed up? That seems crazy to me. So I'm trying to get buy-in with this initial conversation here today. Those guys have buy-in, and they're making 20, 30 million a year. They'll do whatever it takes to gain an advantage. They'll do whatever it takes to stand out from anyone next to you. Because in this group right here, I don't know, maybe 2, maybe 3 of you guys are going to make it to the major leagues. Maybe 3, maybe 4, hopefully more. So my question is what makes you different than the guy next to you? Because the higher up you get, and this isn't coming from me, this is coming from my general manager, the higher up you get in this game, the less important talent is. It's not a talent game. Because everybody has talent. Everybody's got it. So it becomes about everything else. It becomes about all of the other stuff. And so while everybody else in the country that's sitting in a room like this is talking about how talented they are compared to the guy next to them, what you guys need to understand is our focus is going to be on other things. Okay? It's going to be on mastering the things that you can do something about. Can you do anything about your talent right now? No. Nothing. But you can master everything else. And I want to show you some of the stuff we've done even with major league players just a little bit. All right, I'll get to that here in just a sec. We'll come back to that and kind of talk about what we're doing. So this guy right here, I got hired by the Atlanta Braves to run the minor league system. Okay, COVID hits. You guys know very well about COVID. They shut us down. We're doing nothing in the minor leagues. I get a phone call from the major league team and say, can you help us with a player by the name of Kyle Wright? Kyle Wright was a first-round pick out of Vanderbilt. I think he got $6.5 million, okay, signed in the first round. Kyle was 0-7 in the major leagues. And I said, well, what's going on? They said he has no confidence. I'm like, why does he have no confidence? They said, well, because he's 0-7. I'm like, yeah, but why does he have no confidence? And they said, well, because he's 0-7. I'll come back to that later. I said, how eager would he be to talk to me? They said, he's an unbelievable kid, great mind. He'll sit down and talk to you. He got sent down to the minor leagues, or to the alternate site, they called it back then, a couple days later. We spent 7 weeks together. Every single day, I would send him a video. He would watch the video. He'd go to practice. That night, we would jump on a phone call, a Zoom. 7 weeks later, he goes back up to the big leagues and lost his next game, making him 0-8. I was hoping they gave him one more start. He got another start against the World Series champions, against Max Scherzer, and he got his first major league win. He won his next 4. 2 years later, he led Major League Baseball in wins with 21. All right? So if you can see this, and I know it's kind of tough to see, before he started working in the mental game, his previous 13 innings, 11 earned runs, 17 hits, 10 walks, 9 strikeouts. After he started working the mental game, 1 earned run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 10 punches. Complete flip. It's the mental game. And so what I want you guys to do when we start talking about the mental game is this. I want you to say, okay, so what? Give me strategies. We're not just going to talk about it. I want you to say, tell me what to do. okay? It's not good enough to just talk about it. And when you guys get to college, when you guys get to professional baseball, those are the questions I want you to ask your mental performance coaches, because I want you to pull that out of them. We're not just going to talk about your feelings. You need strategies. Give me something to do about it. All right? Get to the next clip right here. We end up going to the World Series. He was left off the roster a lot of that year that we went to the series. We're on our way to the World Series and my phone rings from the pitching coach and the general manager. They're like, we're trying to make decisions on the roster for the World Series. Is Kyle Wright ready to be put on the roster? He's been in AAA all year. I said, absolutely, he's ready to go. Now think about that. You guys have not been in the major leagues all year. The team is going to the World Series. Are you ready to go? Yes or no? Now, it's real easy to sit here and say, yes, you're ready to go. But do you have what it takes right here and right here to be able to go up there and perform in the World Series for your team? Is it about your stuff at that point? It's not a talent game. It's all about how you can manage your mind. I told him absolutely he's ready to go. So let me paint this picture for you right here. We went with an opener that day, which means we brought a guy out of our bullpen to start the game. He got himself into a mess. They brought Kyle in with bases loaded, 1 out. Thanks a lot. Not really set up for success. All right? He's facing Correa with the Astros and blows him up with a 2-seamer. Weak ground ball, we get 1 out. And then this is his very next batter he faces against Tucker. Okay? So this is him going against Tucker. He's working the mental game right there with a big, deep breath. All right? You see him come set. He's got a 2-2 count with 2 outs. And bam. There you go. The question is, do you have what it takes mentally to be able to have success in that moment right there? Kyle goes out there and threw 4 more innings that game. And I think he's the reason why we won the World Series. It's the mindset. It's the mental game. And the question is do you guys have what it takes? Now, in that moment, people say, okay, well, it's time for Kyle to step up. It's time for you guys to step up in big moments. You agree with that? I don't agree with that, because you don't step up in big moments. You actually sink to the level of your training and preparation. The very best athletes don't step up. You don't see the very best of the best nervous in the big moments, because they're actually sinking to the level of their training. And when you get to the level of your training, you're not nervous because you're comfortable in those moments. So that's what training the mental game does for you. Had a lot of work with this guy in the past 12 months. I walked up to him and I'm like, hey, you're a pretty good pitcher. How come you're not an all-star? He didn't like that comment very well. And I says, you just outstuff everybody. And I think a lot of guys in this room probably can say the same thing. Your stuff is just better than everybody that you faced. Fair to say? And I said, I challenge you to be an all-star this year. And he didn't have a whole lot to say about that. I said, will you let me work with you in the mental game, yes or no? Since that conversation, he's been practically unhittable, untouchable. I think he finished the year with a 1.1 in the second half of the season, and he's sitting at under a 2 right now, I believe. How has he done it? He's been fearless in the zone. He's on the injured list right now a little bit, but he's been unbelievable with what he's done. And this summer, we're going to talk a little bit about the things that we've done with him. These are his attack fastballs, which are his pre-2K fastballs. Talk about filling up the strike zone. Unbelievable. He's not working corners. He's attacking. Now, of course, he throws 100, and I know that helps, right? But he didn't used to throw this. He didn't used to look like this. In his last outing before he went on the IL, he faced 27 hitters. 23 hitters he faced, and he threw 23 first-pitch strikes. That's getting it done. And these are some of the ways we track things, and I'll show this to you guys here in a little bit, just to give you an idea what's going on. First pitch strike percentage and in-zone percentage. Hunter Green, in-zone percentage is right at 60%. In-zone. First pitch strike percentage, he's at 74% first pitch strikes on the year. Those are things we're looking for to get done. All right? Now, a couple things I want you guys to think about as we get started with this summer. Because when the summer finishes, I want you to look back and say, I am so much better now than I was when we started the year. That's the goal. I don't want you guys to go out there and just say, hey, I hope I have a good summer. And that's probably what you've done in the past. Hey, I hope I have a good year this year. That's not what they're doing at the major league level. They're not going out and hoping that they have a good year. Hope is not a strategy. I tried to hit with hope when I was in the big leagues, and hope is not a very good hitter. Okay, so strategy, strategy, strategy. So the very first thing I challenge you to do is this. I want you guys, every single one of you, to go home or to call your high school coach or to call any of your coaches now, and I say, I have to have a scouting report on myself. I need to know what my strengths are. I need to know what my weaknesses are. And I'm going to put together a plan right now so that I can attack the things that I really struggle with. I did this with Hunter. Hunter, you throw 100 miles an hour and you're living on the edges and your balls are spraying just a little bit out of the zone. We got to get you back in the zone with your 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Boom. Before you know it, he's throwing 70% fastballs in the strike zone. The reason why I make such a big deal about this is what happened to me. When I was struggling in A-ball, I went to my manager and said, I have to have a scouting report from you. He told me no. And I said, I will not take no for an answer. He finally gave it to me, and 2 years later, when I got called up to the major leagues, I asked my general manager, why did you call me up to the big leagues? And what he rattled off was exactly the same as the list that said were my weaknesses a couple years before. I'm here to tell you, there's not one soul in the major leagues that struggles with work ethic. You should see those guys work up there. Ellie De La Cruz, every single day, is out there doing early work defensively. Every day. Every single one of those guys are out there getting it done every single day. I hang out with them all day long, every day. Work ethic is not a problem. You guys just need to know what to work on. You can make strides every day, and the scouting report is the reason why I made it to the major leagues. You just need to know what it is to work on. Okay? Make sure you have that. That's the first thing I challenge you guys to do. The next thing, and this is the number one, and it's very, very, very simple, but the number one strategy in the mental game is control what you can control. When I get a player that's frustrated, and they'll call me, and just so you guys know, you have permission to call me anytime during the season. Okay? And say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm like, what do you got? It happens all the time. In fact, I'll probably get a phone call while I'm talking from one of our guys. I'm like, what's going on? Hey, I'm struggling. Well, what do you got? And one of the first things I do is I say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of all the things that are frustrating you. And I want you to write them all down on a piece of paper. And then go back and categorize them into, here's a list of things I can control, and here's a list of things I cannot control. Okay? Now, the things you're going to get is this: playing time, umpires, the weather, where I'm going to college. They just signed another recruit. I didn't get drafted where I want to get drafted. Okay, and there's so many more things. I'm not feeling my best. And what usually happens is the things that we are focusing on most of the time are things we can do nothing about. Okay? And when you focus on things you cannot control, you become out of control. And those things end up controlling you. I'll say that again. When you focus on things you cannot control, you become out of control, and those things end up controlling you. All right, I need someone real quick to come up and help me. Who's got me? You got me? I want to make a really big deal about this because this is a big deal. This is the number one strategy. All right?
I'm a PO.
PO? That's okay. I'm okay with a PO. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to take your hand and you're going to hold it out flat. You right-handed or left-handed?
Lefty.
Of course he's left-handed, right? Left-handed, flat. Just like that. And take your right hand and just hold it right here. Okay? Keep that flat. No cheating right here. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep your eyes at the very top of the barrel. And when you're ready, you're going to let go with your right hand, and you're just going to balance the bat. You should be able to balance this thing, okay? When you're ready, go ahead and let go and just balance the bat. Not bad. There you go. Go ahead and grab it. Okay, little golf clap right there. Okay. Now, same exact thing right here, except this time you're going to take your eyes and you're going to put your eyes right here on the knob of the bat. No cheating, and I want you to balance the bat. So when you're ready, go ahead, let it go. Okay, stay with it. Don't just give up like that. I want you to balance the thing. Here we go. Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and get it done. Boom, there it is. That's what I thought. Okay, now, thank you very much. Appreciate it. But let me ask you this question. What did we change? We changed focus. We changed what we focused on. And let me go back to what I said to you in a second. All we changed was the focus. When you focus on things that you cannot control, you become out of control, and those things end up controlling you. Okay? When you focus on things you can control, that is what your baseball career looks like. It's going to have some a little bit small ups and downs, but you're going to be okay. When you focus on things that you cannot control, that is what your baseball career is going to be like, and we don't like that. So we will be relentless about focusing on those things. All right, what can we bring to the ballpark every single day? They're simple things. What are they? Attitude. What else? Effort. What else? Energy, body language, competitiveness. You can compete every single day. Now, this sounds so elementary. But I'll be honest with you, I make my professional athletes grade themselves every single day on these things. How was your energy today? Did you bring it or not? How was your body language today? Like, I graded Hunter Green the other day on his body language. I'm like, Hunter, like, you weren't where you normally are. I work with a PGA golfer that just finished 12th in the U.S. Open this weekend. And I'm like, do you know what was different with you this weekend and last weekend? Your body language. That's why you finished 12th this weekend and you finished 51st the weekend before. It was your body language. These are big deal. I'm not talking about his swing. I'm not talking about Hunter with this. We're talking about stuff that you can bring every single day. Your attitude, your effort, your body language, your energy, whether or not you come to compete. This is a big deal. It's not a talent game. The higher up you get, it's not about your talent. Comments or questions? We're good? Simple stuff, right, so far? All right, next thing is this. I actually called one of my players today. It's a major league player. And I told him that I was speaking to you guys today. And I said, what should I tell them today? What should I talk about today? And he says, you know what? When I was in their shoes, getting ready to go play college baseball, and I was going to Vanderbilt, power school, right? I didn't go into Vanderbilt thinking that I was going to be the very best player on the team. I went into Vanderbilt thinking, I'm going to learn from the very best players on the team at Vanderbilt. Think about that perspective. See, sometimes we think that we need to go in there thinking that we're the best, and that's called confidence, right? He went in there with the perspective, I'm going to go in there every single day, and I'm going to learn from every single player around me something. What if you took that perspective today? Not walk into the field saying, I'm the best, but I'm going to learn from the best every single day. See, this group is the very best of the best. Everybody that is the best in this area is brought together in this room right now. You guys agree with that? So instead of sitting in this room and looking around and saying, am I the best? Like, remember Top Gun when they all sit in that room and say, hey, I wonder how I am compared to that guy? Remember when Iceman says, in case you're wondering who the best is? Remember that line? We're all doing that right now. I'm wondering how I am compared to this guy. Let's change our perspective. Instead of wondering how we compare to the guy next to us, because comparison is the thief of all joy, change your perspective, show up every single day and say, hey, I'm going to learn a little bit from every single guy here today. Think about where you're going to be at the end of the summer. Because that's all this is all about, is continued growth. That's all this is all about. And that's what the advice was given to me from a major league player who's getting it done right now in the big leagues. That's his advice to you guys. Don't miss the opportunity to learn something from every single person that's in this room every single day. I loved it. I loved the advice he gave us. All right, next thing is this right here. All right. And this is something I just thought about a couple weeks ago. So every single time we get ready to go play a new team, all right, I just left the Reds. We were playing the Guardians, okay, and then we just got back from playing the Tigers. So when we go to play a new team, and you guys do the same thing, we get together, all the hitters, and we have a hitters meeting, and we talk about all the pitchers that we're going to face that series, right? And the pitchers do the same thing. So let's assume that I'm a hitter, whatever you are. If you're a hitter, if you're a PO, whatever it is, you're getting ready to go into that scouting report meeting. But instead of going into your meeting, let's assume that you go into the other clubhouse and you're eavesdropping on the meeting that they're having about your club. And you walk by and your name is up on the screen. And they're talking about you. My question is this: what would you want them to say about you? Okay? What would you want them to say about you in that meeting? Okay? I'm going to ask you, what do you got? Pitcher, hitter?
Hitter.
Hitter, what do you want them to say?
Competitive at-bats. Or more.
No, it's good. I love it. We got a hitter, and he says, I want them to say that I always have competitive at-bats. What do you got?
He's a hard out.
I love it. He's a hard out. You got one more. What do you got?
Solid defensively, too.
Yeah, solid defensively as well. I love that. So think about that. I need a pitcher. Who's a pitcher? What do you want them to say about you?
Competitive son of a bitch.
Love it. Competitive son of a bitch. Why not? Right? So think about that, and this is something I want you guys to go home tonight and actually write down. And I challenged all of my players to do this, to write it on a piece of paper, on a note card, maybe laminate it, and take it with them every single day, put it in their bag, and look at it every day. Because if this is what you want them to say about you, then this is who you should be every single day. We don't think about this stuff. Guess what we think about? Where our back legs should be. Right? If this is who you want to be, then this is what you should be thinking when you get between the chalk lines. Now, there's a time and a place to work on the other stuff. And so when I'm talking to my hitters, I'm like, hey, you should have at least 2 pair of batting gloves. You got your work gloves when you're in the cage. I would even make them the yellow, like the work gloves, the yellow gloves. And then you got your compete gloves when you get in the game. Don't take your work gloves into the game, because we're not working on things in the game. We're competing. Right? Right. Make sure they're different gloves. And if you go look at some of our big league pitchers as well, they've got their work gloves that they use, and then they've got their gamers. Right? The gamers isn't a work glove, it's a compete glove. Same idea. So I did this. I called a couple buddies of mine, and I said, hey, you're a major league hitting coach last year for the New York Yankees. One of the greatest hitters I've ever been around, Sean Casey. This dude hit over 300 against Hall of Fame pitchers. I'm like, Sean Casey, if you walked into a pitcher's meeting and they're talking about you, what would you want them to say about you? He's like, oh man, and there's spit coming through the phone. Got all excited. I want them to say I'm a tough out and I'm mentally disciplined. Boom. Loved it. I sat next to this guy also. Anybody know who this is? Eric Davis, right? How about this guy? ED. Eric Davis, what do you want them to say about you? He turned it right back around and goes, what do you want them to say about you? And I said, I like the idea of being a tough out. He goes, when you say tough out, do you mean a 10-pitch AB? And I'm like, that's a tough out. And he goes, I'm out on 10-pitch ABs. Like, what do you mean you're out on 10-pitch ABs? He goes, that means you missed 5 pitches. And I'm like, come on, man. And he goes, you know what I want them to say about me? And I'm like, what's that? And he goes, don't make a mistake. Interesting. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about with being a tough out. I love the idea of being a tough out, but don't be defensive when we talk about being a tough out. Do you see the difference between don't be a tough out and don't make a mistake? Because when we're in the box, we're going to be on the offense. So I'm going to be a tough out, and don't you dare make a mistake. Let's put those two together when we get in that box. That's what your self-talk looks like. On the mound, I love what you're saying. Okay? I've asked a couple pitchers, Hunter Green. Hunter, what do you think? What do you got? A couple major league pitchers, and they're like, you better get me early. You better get me early, because if you don't, it's over. That's what he wanted. All right? So think about that, and if that's what you want them to say about you, then you guys go out there and be that person. And those are the thoughts that are running through your mind when you're out there playing. Make sense? Can you see where we're going with the mental game? Can you see the difference in we're not just talking about your feelings, we're making things happen. All right, I got a couple minutes here, and we may talk about this a little bit later. I'm going to hit it harder, but I want to do this. Where does confidence come from? Yourself. What else? Training. I love it. Where else? This is the very first question I asked Kyle Wright. Where does your confidence come from? Because he said he didn't have any. Preparation. I love the answer. Performance. Absolutely. I couldn't hear you. What do you got? Absolutely. Your everyday, everything you're doing every single day, your purpose, all of the above. I hear it? Okay. Kyle Wright, where does your confidence come from? He's 0-7. He's got no confidence. He says it comes from success. I says, well, what happens if you don't have success? I said, you're getting ready to go pitch against the Yankees on Saturday. So does that mean you're going to have to beat the Yankees before you're confident? Are you going to beat the Yankees without any confidence, yes or no? We have a dilemma. Which one comes first, success or confidence? Do you see the problem? You can't wait for confidence to happen. You can't wait to have success this summer for you to be a confident player. If you're 0 for your first 20, you can't just keep your head buried underneath the pillow until you go have a big game to call home and say you're a confident player again. It has to come from somewhere else. So these answers are correct, but let me ask you a question. Can I take your confidence from you, yes or no? I got a shake of a head, no. Can I take your confidence from you, yes or no? A lot of no answers, a lot of nothing. Let me ask another question. Hitter or pitcher? Hitter. Can 0 for 30 take your confidence from you, yes or no? I like the answer, but can 0 for 30 take your confidence? Yeah, it can, right? The problem is that sometimes confidence is tied to what? Success and outcomes, even if we say it's not. Unfortunately, it is. And so I got caught with this mess because I teach the same things you guys said. Our confidence comes from our preparation. Confidence is not a feeling we get, it's an action we take. About 6 months ago, I ran into this problem. I got into a mess. What's the definition of confidence? It's the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. Yeah, I don't love that definition. However, I do love this right here. Firm trust. Okay, that gave me the warm and fuzzies. And so I looked up the definition of that. Definition of trust is this: firm belief in the reliability, the truth, the ability or strength of someone or something. I like that definition. All right, and so what I did is, and this is the last thing I'm saying, we're going to go get some grub. I want this to be ingrained into your brain, and I'll give this to every single one of you. I did a reframe on that. And here's what I mean by that. There's the definition up top again. The reframe says this: I can rely on myself. I can trust myself. I believe in my ability. I believe in my strength, and because of this, I can overcome. That is a reframe on the definition of trust. I no longer chase confidence with any of my guys. We are not chasing confidence ever again. It's like your dog chasing its tail. Because what? It is kind of based on outcomes. And it is kind of based on how well you're playing, as much as we even talk about it not being it. But trust is different. Can I take your confidence from you? Can 0 for 20 take your confidence? Unfortunately, it can. Can I take your trust from you, yes or no? No chance. No one's taken my trust from me. Trust is a verb, which is an action word. It's something you can do. You can build your trust every single day. My definition of trust is this: doing the things you say you're going to do every single day. You are in control of the trust you build every single day. No one can take that from you. No one can take your trust, and that definition will lead to firm trust, which at the end of the day is the definition of confidence. Okay? That's your goal every single day, is to build on that. Does that make sense? Okay, no need to clap. This isn't my program. This is your program. You're going to get out of this what you guys put into it. This is all about you. All right? This is your program, and it's my challenge to you. I will do whatever it takes to give you guys whatever you need. I promise. I mean, it's for you. That's it. So it's time to eat. That's important. So however Chad wants to get you guys grubbing, they're still setting up. Absolutely. Okay, Q&A. Now, let me talk about what we're going to kind of do with the mental game stuff and how I roll it out with my players, and then any questions you guys might have about anything. The mental game, about the players I have a chance to work with, any of that stuff. I teach 7 skills in the mental game: process over outcome, honest self-evaluation, emotional control, on and on and on and on. And so the way we've done this in the past, and I think it works pretty good, is I have access to all of your guys' cell phone numbers, okay? I will kick you guys a video every single day. It's a 4-minute video. And it talks about a specific topic in the mental game. So week 1, you're going to get a video on Monday that talks about process over outcome. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'll get videos with drills that'll help you master process over outcome. Okay? Because it's not just about talking about process over outcome. It's about, okay, great, what are we going to do to master process over outcome? Okay? And that's where the gold is, okay, great, what are we going to do about it? And then once a week, I'm going to set up a Zoom call that's going to be no more than 40 minutes, because 40 minutes, you guys are done, and it's not just you guys, it's everybody, where we're going to jump on and break it down. And in that 40-minute call, we'll get deeper on how you can implement it into your game. And with that, it's going to be like, okay, how does, Matt McClain, our second baseman, in process over outcome, one of them is routines and habits of excellence. What does his routine look like in the morning? Okay, what is he doing every single morning? I was drafted with CC Sabathia. I spent 5 years with Sabathia. So what did CC do as he was coming up in the minor leagues? What does that look like? Okay, and so that's what that Zoom call is going to be like, is how do we manage that? How can we get you several steps ahead of everybody else in that moment? And we'll just run that through the 6 weeks that we do that. That makes sense? Now, in between those, if you guys have any specifics, go ahead and let me know as we go from there. Chad, how are we looking? You always look great. Until Chad says go, any questions that you guys have? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, so I will make sure you guys have access to my cell phone. I get no problem with you guys messaging me. Now, during the Major League games, I cannot have my cell phone in the dugout. I am in the dugout with the Reds most of the time. But if I have my access to my cell phone, I'll get to you right after the game. Yeah, and that's because of the Astros. That's why I can't have my cell phone in the dugout. It's because of the Astros. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, good question. I do not coach during the game. Okay, I don't do any coaching during the game. The only people I talk to during the game is maybe like yesterday's starting pitcher, if they want to talk. Now, occasionally somebody who's not playing will come up to me and say, hey, let's talk about this or that. Occasionally, we've been doing a lot of things like last year's Marshall's team, we kind of rolled out this new device I'm wearing, which helps a player with their reaction time and also mental agility is what we call it. So I can help get a hitter ready for like a pinch hit and do some stuff with it. So occasionally if they go and grab and say, hey, you're going to pinch hit next inning, they'll grab me and say, hey, can you come help me get my mind right real quick because I'm getting ready to pinch hit. Most of the stuff I do takes place after a game, before a game, or casually when we're away from the ballpark. Yeah, the question is the big differences between the good players and the great players? Is that it right there? Well, I'm going to stick by what I said earlier. This is not a talent game, okay? The difference in talent between the good and the great is next to none. Occasionally, you're going to get a Ellie De La Cruz. Like, Ellie has no idea how good Ellie is. And you're going to see him continue just to get better and better and better. But what it comes down to is routines. The guys that are dialed in on their routines are head and shoulders better than everybody else. Like I'm being dead serious when you look at a Hunter Green and you saw, I mean, he's always been a good pitcher. And then all of a sudden he gets introduced to the mental game and he has a 1-1. Like he goes from a 3-2 to a 1-1 over the second half of the season. It's because all of a sudden he's got routines. So the question becomes, like, what is he doing? Well, now every single morning he's watching a mind movie that we've made for him. What's a mind movie? Well, it's a highlight video of himself absolutely dominating hitters, and he's watching it every single day. He actually came up to me the other day and he's like, can you make my mind movie a little bit shorter? And I'm like, oh, my bad, you have too many highlights, right? My fault. So, but honestly, like, mind movie every single day, visualization every single day, grounding work every single day. And he's got it, like, to the minute when things are happening. We've actually even gone so far as to say, hey, on it, he's actually had 3 starts where they've been delayed because of weather. And he's like, I'm having a hard time because they'll come in and delay the game from weather, and then they'll come back in and say, okay, we're on in 45. He's like, where do I jump back into my routine? Do I go back to the warm whirlpool? Do I go get stretched again? And so, like, that's how particular they are with their routines. And so their brain knows exactly where they're at, so they're dialed in. And then the best thing, and I guess I can ask you guys this question, like, the guys that are dialed into their mental game are the guys that are here. They're never up and down, and they're locked in. So let me ask you, what's the definition of the mental game? What is it? Anyone? What do you got? Stable mind? Yeah, and what do you mean by that? Because you're right.
Kind of what you said, it's not up and down. Like, so you're kind of like thankful you have control over it.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely. I got asked this question the other day. Okay, you teach the mental game. What is the mental game? And to me, it's being able to have strategies so that you can compete in the present moment, one pitch at a time. That's it. That's all it is. Being able to compete one play at a time for you, referee, and for us, one pitch at a time. So, like, for example, Hunter Green, and I'll show you guys as we get to that point, we look at, after his start, we go back and look at every single pitch of his, and I ask him the question, did you execute on that pitch, yes or no? And what does it mean? Did you throw a strike? No, it's not about throwing strikes. It's about executing based on the mental game, and did he put the ball where he wanted to based on his execution, right? And we actually track that for percentage. And so he'll know what his execution percentage was for that game. It's not about did he win or not. It's about did he execute and stay in the game and compete one pitch at a time. And we track that every single outing, and that's all we care about. And so they'll ask him in an interview, like, hey, how was your outing? He's like, I was at 74% execution. They're like, what are you talking about? It's pitch-by-pitch execution 74% of the time. But that's the difference. These guys have strategies so that they're locked in every single pitch. I had a chance to play with Miguel Cabrera, the last guy to win the Triple Crown. He was on game 124, I think it was. So that's what, 430 at-bats into his season. He already had 2 hits that day. He popped up, they were winning by 6 runs. He had a pop-up to the second baseman. And this is a guy that does not get upset. He's very even kill. He steps on first base, peels off, and slams his helmet down. It was such a big deal that that was what the post-game news was all about. We've never seen Miguel Cabrera slam his helmet down. What happened? They went and interviewed him. They asked him, why did you slam your helmet down? He says, that's the first at-bat all year that I gave away. I mean, how many at-bats do we give away today? Right? That's how locked in these guys are. Every AB, every pitch, that's all they care about. Okay, I didn't execute, so what? Execute on this one. execute on this one. It's just about this pitch. Anything else? Boom. How do big league guys deal with failure? Absolutely. And we'll talk about this when we get to this spot, but after every single play, every single event, every single situation, what we find out now, and it happens with the big league guys too, they hit a double with runners at second, third, they get to second base, and we're like, throwing the die, right? Like, we have an emotional reaction. But the very best of the best, before they have an emotional reaction, there's a gap. I call it living in the gap. And in that gap, they ask themselves some questions. What happened? Why? And what's my next best move? And so to them, failure isn't really failure, it's just learning. And they build a database. Okay? So if they strike out with runners at second, third, nobody out, or runners at second, third, 2 outs, and they're walking back to the dugout, they're not thinking, man, I let my team down, I'm embarrassed, I'm disappointed. Initially, what they're thinking is, that's interesting. So they stay curious is the word. They stay curious. They're like, that's interesting. Usually I get the job done right there. Like, what did he just do to me that got me off my timing? Like, what happened? And they're like, okay, I got it. Like, put it in my database. I got it. And if he does it again, guess what? I'm actually a better player because I just struck out. Yeah, they're disappointed, and they don't like to let their team down. But where we oftentimes will throw a fit and get mad, they're actually just gathering information for their database. And the more information they gather, that's why they're so good. Their database is so much bigger than everybody else's. And sometimes it looks like they don't care, right? No, they care deeply. They're just gathering information. They don't have time to throw a fit. They don't have time to go into their emotions because they're just gathering information. Hey, and let me be honest with you. The failure to them is real also. Like, they are dealing with failure just like you guys are dealing with failure. But they are going through the processes that we're going to talk about the next 6 weeks. After every single game, they sit down and write in a journal that I've given them, that we'll give to you guys as well. And they'll talk about, hey, what did I do well? What do I want to do better? And how are we going to do it? And then if they failed at something today, they're going to attack it tomorrow. So if you got picked off by a left-handed pitcher today, you should actually show up a little bit early to practice tomorrow, grab a buddy who's left-handed, and you should work on that tomorrow. And because you failed at it today and you work on it tomorrow, you're actually going to be a better player because you failed today. And that's a cycle. And we'll get to all of that as we go through it. But boom. Thanks, guys. You want it.